What's up, everybody? Tyrone here to break down episode 2, season 7 of Ready to Love. Are you ready? Alright, let's go. We dive right into the brunch, which is typical for episode 2. Thankfully, the anxiety of day 1 is over, and it's time to focus on any missed connections. Now that everyone's regrouped, it's interesting to see who they're going to focus on. I know the nervousness is still there because normally there's either somebody getting sent home or there's an infamous Tommy trick. Right on cue, Tommy walks in and brings in 4 more singles: Cynthia, Jonique, Fabrice, and Mark Anthony. Jonique is a 30-year-old entrepreneur who admits she might be a lot to handle, makes her own money, and doesn't need a man that's intimidated by her. Mark Anthony, a 34-year-old lab tech, another non-player and ready to be in a serious relationship. Unlike Lyndon, though, he was able to look at the camera when saying all this. Corvea and Mark Anthony have their first date. She's ready to love, but not for just anybody, and finances play a big role. When asked if he would spoil the women in his life, he responded with, "I'll give you what you earn." Finances often play a huge role in relationships, and I feel production really wanted this to be a talking point. Z is feeling the heat from being on the bottom last week. You always feel for anyone who might be voted off. Some don't ever recover from this, and some rebound quite nicely. What up, Charisse? Andre and Jeffrey are back. At this point, I'm convinced his love language is physical touch. He gives Boston Red Sox, David Ortiz, Big Poppy energy. He's all about Jeffrey until Cynthia walks up. Look at Jeffrey's face here. This love triangle thing is going to be something to watch. Cynthia, a 37-year-old CEO, single mom who didn't want to conform but now understands parenthood. Y'all know I always root for the parents. Some women are thirsty to Jeffrey. Cynthia doesn't seem to care and moves right in on Andre. Jeffrey's still confident despite Andre's love language becoming evident. Sue, Ann, and Blake clearly feel something, but they're trying to figure it out. Fabrice and Cynthia are having their first real convo. It's about food, or at least Cynthia thinks it's about food. Fabrice, a 44-year-old fashion designer, saying he's a black Haitian man that lives in America, that lived in Paris, that's from the Caribbean, who's a lover of all flavors, and let me tell you, sex is very important to him, like, very important. Jeffrey is also giving Fabrice some play, even though she's vulnerable to mindful, can't say that word, it's hard to get her into that space sexually. 6 of the men meet up with Cynthia. That may be a new RTL record. They interrogate her, trying to be genuine, knowing they want to know who she's feeling. Cynthia handled that well, though, but I did catch that glance at Anthony when they asked. Jonique dropped in, annoyed again by her late call time. I understand her on this since she's already behind being one of the ringers, but she still held her own and put them all on notice about her desires. Check this out, y'all. Andre moves past 2 of the fellas, offers to walk Cynthia out. Not only does he get 4 or 5 more touches in, but also a hug. And I don't blame him one bit, cause yeah. I love Marcia's energy. It stands out on this date, despite her concerns about Tony. In her confessional, she said, "I really like it here. I see that as an emotional investment and something I'm going to pay attention to moving forward." Every date affects your journey. And when I saw Blake with Z's date, I didn't think it was going to go well. I'm sure she felt that too, and it showed. I think we could have seen a different side of her if Blake had a different personality, or a desire for kids, or even a desire for her. Hate it. The 2 new guys meet the ladies. Both share their dating experiences. Fabrice again emphasizes sex. Some of the ladies were turned off, and a few of the ladies were quite receptive. The fellas finally link up with Tommy and discuss who they're feeling. The fellas lounge is what you make of it. I know some of the things in there could be tough to hear, but you gotta stand on the strength of your connections. After it's all said and done, the fellas decide Z and Corvea are the bottom 2, which means more dates for them. It's early in the process, so I could see how they could see that this was a legitimate date. Seeing Lyndon waiting at that table was weird because
There's no way in hell that me and Corvea are gonna find a connection.
Blake at the table with Z was even more telling, and she figured that out early. That date was a bit cringe to watch. Blake did do a good job sharing the news from the fellas. Z took it well, which is never easy, and even sang her way out.
Anybody who can speak a different language always is going to kind of pique my bunny ears.
Anjam, Pabo Chatham Sada Kunyo.
It's just sexy.
Thank you so much for following my adventures and supporting me through this new content creator journey. It has been a lot of fun so far. Be on the lookout for the next video, and thanks for rocking with me. Let's go!